Dr. Zeke Emanuel, we need a doctor. We need some advice. Dr. Emanuel, of course, is the global health advisor at the University of Pennsylvania and a member of Joe Biden's health advisory team. Well, first of all, Dr. Emanuel, we don't know. There are tests and there are tests, and we can get into this later in the program, but we don't know what kind of tests any of these people have been having. We presume the president had more than the Abbott rapid test that he takes every day when he ended up testing positive very late last night, early this morning.
I think you're right. They wouldn't have gone out with a positive unless they were convinced that it was not a false positive. They did not want to repeat what Governor DeWine of Ohio had, where he had a test, went out that he was positive, and then they did a confirmatory PCR test, which is considered the gold standard, and it showed that, in fact, he was negative. So I'm pretty convinced on the president's side this is not a false positive. This is a real positive. Plus, we now have confirmation that he's symptomatic. This isn't just asymptomatic experience. There was information that he was fatigued on Wednesday, slept on Air Force One flight back. So this is a real positive.
Now, the risk level, the comorbidities, he's 74 years old. He's our oldest president. He is just, visually, he's overweight. They've not been very careful about disclosing what his medical information is, I should say, as compared to other presidents who have given detailed medical reports, both as candidates and as president. The reporting out of this White House, there was, very little, if any, reporting before he became president, and very little since.
You're absolutely right. The lack of transparency of the medical records, what exactly his health condition is, but also the lack of transparency about this whole episode. Hope Hicks' positivity did not come from the White House. And the fact that the president flew up to New Jersey to do a fundraiser, it seems irresponsible and totally unethical. Exposing people. It reminds you of Rand Paul going to the Senate gym to exercise when he knew he was positive. And if the president was symptomatic, again, irresponsible and not wearing a face mask. We don't know a lot about the president. We do know that he's 74, which increases his risk for COVID death if he's COVID positive to about 11%, which itself is sky high. He's obese. Borderline obese with a body mass index around about 30 to 30.5. We know that in the past he's had high cholesterol. Exactly how that breaks down, we don't know. He has metabolic syndrome, which is not diabetes, but a pre-diabetic kind of situation. And so, he has, from a health standpoint, at increased risk. Mark Meadow dodged the question about what therapies they've started, but things that they may well be considering and maybe even have started, we just don't know, because of that lack of transparency. Did he get remdesivir? Has he gotten any of these new monoclonals that people have that are in advanced phase 3 testing and looking positive? Have they put him on an anticoagulant? Because we know that blood clots are a potential serious complication of COVID. We just don't know how they're managing him. Again, speaking to the lack of transparency in the whole health situation around the world's most important leader, just doesn't seem quite responsible to the American public.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.